Feeling like you have a million amazing ideas, but you can't seem to turn them into a reality? You're not alone. Creative entrepreneurs everywhere struggle with turning their vision into an actionable plan. That's why I'm inviting you to Your Best Year Yet, a free masterclass that transforms scattered ideas into a simple strategic roadmap for 2025. You'll discover the number one reason your big ideas haven't materialized yet, and more importantly, exactly how to change that. No more overwhelm, no more burnout, just a clear path to building a business that supports your dream life. Join me and learn how to create a business plan that you'll actually use, one that turns your abundant ideas into achievable goals. Of course, we have a link in the show notes, but you can also head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/best year masterclass to save your spot. Your best year isn't just ahead of you, it's waiting for you to claim it. Let's do this.
Welcome to Thrive by Design, the podcast for ambitious, independent jewelry brands looking to profit from their products. Get ready to make more and sell more doing what you love without spending every single waking minute doing it. Hey, and if you're a creative, fashion, or product-based business, I want to welcome you to the show. I'll be dropping big tips on launching, growing, and scaling your business so you can spend more of your precious time using your creativity to make money. You ready? All right, let's do this.
Welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast. Hey there, it's Tracy Matthews. I am so excited to be here. Happy New Year's, almost. I am beyond thrilled today because, first and foremost, I am going to recap some of the biggest lessons that I've learned this year. And we're also doing 2 episodes this week because I always like to launch the new year with something positive and forward focusing and all that stuff. But I really wanted to do this lessons episode. And so there's a very specific reason about why this is coming online on New Year's Eve. It's because I want to leave it in last year, but also bring these lessons forward into the new year. And so on today's episode, I want to share some of the biggest lessons that I've learned. This has been one of the most transformative years for me in my history, and I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time. And so to make this statement is a big one, and it's true because so much has happened this year. I have been through the emotional ringer and feeling that energy and vibe of breaking out of my shell or being caught in the bud, as Anais Nin says. She's like, the point came when it remained too painful to still be tight in the bud or something like that. I'm probably getting that a little bit wrong. But I've been through this process of feeling like I'm wearing clothes that are too small and I am ready to burst out of them and it's time for a new outfit, which is so exciting and also so bittersweet. And there's so many things around it. And I'm going to share some of those things with you today. And you're going to be learning more about the progression of what's happening with this podcast and Flourish and Thrive Academy in the new year. And I'm excited for it because I think you're going to love it. And I'm also excited for it because it's really what I truly believe is my life's work. So I want to start, and I can't remember if I mentioned this story on the last podcast, but I want to start with a story of something that happened to me about 5 years ago. Maybe it was a little bit longer than that, but it doesn't really matter. And also maybe I should start with this. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm so excited for 2025. I think a lot of us are really ready to leave 2024 behind. And for many, many people, this was a very challenging year. And for many, many people, this was a great year. And for many, many people, they kind of stayed the same and didn't grow or didn't shrink. So wherever you are in the spectrum, I just want to say you've got this. Congratulations wherever you are, because there are so many lessons learned. And after you listen to this episode, maybe take some time to evaluate some of the lessons you learned this year that you want to either leave behind in the bad energy around it behind in 2024 and the lessons that you want to bring forward into the new year in 2025. Great exercise. This is really cathartic for me and very exciting. So I wanted to share just something that happened about 5-6 years ago. I was at a Brendon Burchard event. Some of you who've been following me for a while have probably heard this story. And we were broken up into small groups. And I was with this couple. They work with couples and they're pretty famous, I guess. I have no idea who they are, but they had a big audience in the whole thing. They were working with Brendon privately. I was there as a guest and as a VIP. And one of the exercises was if you could create any big, hairy goal or dream, what would that be? And what would that look like? And I don't know where this came. This was very spontaneous. Like he had us write a couple things down, and the name for my brand, Creatives Rule the World, came at that time. And then also the idea for my podcast, which is going to be rebranded soon, which I'll share a little bit more about with you later. And this idea that I wanted to do a TEDx talk or a TED talk that had 20 million views. That was my big, hairy goal that I wrote down and told these people, that this TEDx talk was going to be about creativity. And in 2019, I signed up for a speaker training course and started developing the signature talk, and then the world shut down. And I was finishing this speaking thing that was happening in March of 2022, and I was literally in New Jersey trying to decide if I get on the train or not when everything was shutting down and everyone was getting COVID in New York. And a couple days later, I was back in Arizona, and that transitioned my whole move here to be with Jason and the whole thing. And the world kind of got upended, and I kind of put this whole desire on the back burner for many years. But it's been calling to me. And it's interesting what happens when you start moving in a direction that you feel called to, and then you get sidetracked, and then many years go by and you're like, what the heck happened here? I had this whole idea for a mastermind. I had this whole idea for all these things, and I never got them off the ground, but that's okay. And I was okay with it, because even if you go right now to the Creatives Rule the World website, it's going to have all this old messaging about visionaries and visionary code, which was a download that I did, and a bunch of other things that I was thinking of. And also a waitlist page for my Creatives Rule the World podcast that still hasn't launched, but it will be in the new year, which is exciting. And a lot has happened this year, including having an opportunity to potentially partner with some people that I trust to grow the business and sell the company. And I actually turned the offer down and decided to move in a different direction because of some of the lessons that I learned. And a lot of this has to do with and revolve around me understanding that I needed to protect my energy, and I needed to get my energy and my creativity and my, connection to source in alignment with where I'm going instead of who I've been or where I've been. And it's been an amazing year for that. And I am honestly, you guys, really terrified because so much has changed. And through this process, I've also had to make some decisions about what to do or where to be or how to position myself within the Flourish and Thrive Academy ecosystem. And so one of the things that I know is that throughout this process of reinvention that I've been going through internally is that I had to make some decisions about how to be running the company. So it's exciting. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently this year. We're not going away. We still have our amazing programs, and I'm excited about that. But I want you to pay close attention to what's happening, especially if you are a jewelry business owner, because we will be running things a little bit differently, but it's all for the best. And it's all from a place of having a desire to streamline, but also optimize and deliver a better experience for our customers, for our audience in general, and for our students. And so if you've been thinking about taking a program, I'd highly recommend diving into one of those programs now, because we have made the conscious decision over here to no longer run cohorts with our programs. And there's a lot of information and reasoning behind that, and I'm not going to go into that in this episode. And what that means is that if you want to join one of our programs, you have the opportunity to buy it as a self-study. And with that, we've been able to reduce the investment on most of the programs because we took a lot of the individualized coaching out of it. But with that being said, what we have added in that is an opportunity for you to participate and join one of our communities that is related to that program to help you execute and implement that program. So you still can get support through our programs, which is great. But we're doing this in a way that makes it more affordable for more people to be able to get in. So for instance, our Train Your Customers to Buy From You Online program has always been on the market for $3,500, Well, we reduced the investment to that to a fraction. But if you want to get community support for that, if you want to get support for the information in that program, you can add for $97 a month, join the Jewelry Marketing Collective. And inside that community, you can get feedback from Chelsea and our other online sales coaches, if that makes sense. Or if you want to participate in our Laying the Foundation program and you haven't taken it yet, you can invest in that program in the home study version. And if you want the community support, you can also join our Desired Brand Effect Society. And so we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. And I'm going to be sharing my brand new program in the new year. It's actually available for pre-purchase right now. Actually, it's live. I should say that. We're just rolling the modules out and they're almost all complete, which is great. It's a 6-module program. It's a small business planning program for creatives and divergent thinkers. I'd like to say creatives, but people who are, traditional business planning and like massive spreadsheets and too much information is overwhelming for them. And so just getting it down to the simple things. But mostly my favorite part of it is that in the front end of the program, we really get you into a space of dreaming big about what is possible, because that is where the magic is. And then we help you take all the dreams that you have, all the goals that you have, and turn that into a 1-page actionable business plan for the year with 1-page or 2-page, maybe, quarterly plans that you can execute and then move that over to your project management system, etc. Okay, so enough about those things, but I wanted to share those stories because I think it might create some context for what I'm going to share with you right now, which I'm very excited about. So my first lesson learned is to embrace the hummingbird moments. So to me, I want to share this story. On my birthday this last year, the day before my birthday, I was speaking at Kathy Heller's event. I just had her at on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And I went to bed the night before and I was really triggered. Jason and I had a conversation that really triggered me. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just that I was triggered. I couldn't sleep all night. I was up all night. I was devastated, crying, like all the things that you don't want to experience if you're trying to get a good night's sleep. So I was at that event with my friend Chris, and long story short, she came to my bedroom, and she's an amazing healer and coach. And she said to me, "Tracy, what do you need right now?" And I said, "I need a sign." And so she's like, okay. She kind of tried not to laugh at me, but she's like, "Okay, what kind of sign do you need?" And I said, "I need to see a hummingbird." She's like, "Okay, what does that look like?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but if I see a hummingbird, it will mean that I'm on the right track." And so we get dressed, go to the event. Like, we were late a little bit. We go sit in the front, and I open up my phone and open up Facebook because it's my birthday, and I was getting some notifications that people were messaging me. And I look on my feed, and Chris's cousin, who took pictures of me, and I've been mentoring her because she's a photographer, Kara, had posted something on my wall. It was a picture of a hummingbird. And the story goes that there was this massive forest fire, and the hummingbird was flying towards the fire. And a panther and all these animals were walking out, and the panther stops the hummingbird and says to her, "What are you doing? Why are you going back into the fire? You're going to die." And the hummingbird's like, "I have to try to put it out." And he's like, "What are you talking about? And there's no way that your little beak can put out that fire by filling it up with water." And she's like, the hummingbird says, "Well, the forest feeds me. I pollinate the forest. And without us doing our part, like, how can we live with ourselves? We have to try to solve this problem if we can't." And so the panther's like, "Okay, whatever." And so the hummingbird goes and picks up some water with its tiny little beak and goes to fly back to try and put out the big fire with her beak. And all of a sudden there's this torrential downpour, and the whole fire is extinguished, because the hummingbird had faith that if she just did her part, that everything would work out. This message was so powerful for me, because if you knew what I was going through at that time, and the feeling that I was having, of feeling like I was stuck in this old pattern of who I used to be, wearing clothes that were too tight, not like literally, but like feeling like I was suffocating in the suit that I was wearing, and knowing that that it's time for me to spread my wings and take a risk. That emergent feeling was so incredible. And so later that day, I ended up seeing like 3 more hummingbirds. It was quite remarkable. But the lesson here is that you are given signs that you are on the right path every single day. Pay attention to your hummingbird moments and know what those things are. Ask for guidance and trust that the universe is providing for you. It's a great lesson. Number 2, my mindfulness routine is a non-negotiable. And this is what I mean by this. And I hope that everyone else adopts this. So for me, I have a morning routine. I get up very early, around 6 o'clock. I go and have a journaling practice. I do meditation. I work on just a couple of things. I share things that I'm grateful for, amazing things that have happened, goals that I have. I also create I am statements for my future self. These are all things that are inside of my Your Year to Thrive program in the journaling practice, the morning ritual journaling practice section. And this practice has been super powerful for me. But what happens when I don't do it and I don't get into my visualization and meditation or listening to my subliminals and get into my morning manifestation and mindfulness practice is my day is super funky and it's really hard for me to focus. So I know that if I stay on track and I'm always working on my mindset, working on my mindfulness, even when I'm having a bad day or things aren't going my way or I don't feel good enough or I don't feel like I'm on the right track, having that focused time to work on myself is a game changer. And sometimes I spend like 2 hours with that. I know that that's not everyone's morning. I don't have little kids or anything like that, and I can do that. But that's not for you. Can you spare 15 minutes to work on your morning mindfulness practice? Even if it's listening to an audio, a visualization, a subliminal, something to get your head in the right place. And one of the things that I am so proud of this year that I've created are these wealthy creative audios. They are, right now it's a 6 series, but I'm adding more audios to it. It's $22. The link is in the show notes. And these audios are a great way for you to just get into a simple mindfulness practice. My favorite part about this is I created 2 subliminal, basically affirmation things where you can't really hear me talking. It's overloaded with some peaceful music. You can listen to it while you're cleaning the house, listen to it while you're working out or walking around town, walking your dog. And it's a great way to rewire your brain to get you in a better vibration with financial wealth and abundance. So I'm excited about that. And also the journaling practice that I mentioned, I have a 6-step journaling practice that I go through every single morning that helps me really get into a gratitude and abundance mindset. And it also helps me call in the person that I'm stepping into and upgrading that has already reached the massive goals that I have. And it is so important, if you haven't heard this before, if you don't write down your goals and create a clear vision around those goals, create a vision board, all these things, guess what? The chances of you achieving your goals are like 100 times less. Looking at that every single day will be a game changer. And this is what I love about being able to tie everything together in the Your Year to Thrive program, because it's really, everything's there, right? We have evaluation, visioning, and then vision boarding, goal setting, tactical strategies to actually make your goals happen inside one program. It's like a manifestation program, a business planning program, and like a time management system all in there. And if you want to hear more about that, there's a link in the show notes as well. But super excited about that because the mindfulness part of this, even if your mindfulness practice is listening to something else, get in a habit of training your brain to elevate and resonate at a higher level. And for everyone, that's going to look a little bit different, but do it every single day. This one is one of my favorite lessons, lesson number 3. How are you at receiving compliments? Now, Julie Solomon said this at Kathy's event. This was like literally a game changer for me. She said, your relationship with how you receive compliments is directly correlated with how you're receiving abundance and financial well-being in your life. So if someone says, Tracy, I love your outfit, or Tracy, you look pretty today, or Tracy, you look like, I love those shoes, and you say something like, oh, I got it at Target, or oh, this is old, or oh, you look great too, and you're like deflecting it instead of just receiving the compliment, you are going to have a hard time turning up your receiver dial to receive abundance in your life. So you are blocking abundance, wealth, anything that you want to bring in if you can't receive a compliment without deflecting it. So if you have a hard time receiving compliments, take a look at that and heal that and start saying, instead of, oh, you look cute too, or oh, you're pretty too, or blah, 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 say, I received that, thank you. Even if you don't believe it about yourself, just say, I received that, thank you. And watch how your receptivity dial starts to increase and ratchet up. So my lesson number 4 is, this is something that I just heard like this week from Michael Beckwith, and I did a little Instagram video about it. Where there's a willfulness, there is a wall. And where there's a willingness, there is a way. I've heard where there's a willingness, there is a way, but I've never heard where there's a willfulness, there is a wall. Now, this was really powerful for me because so we all have people in our lives, and maybe we've been this. And one of the things that Michael Beckwith talks about in his spiritual teachings is that there are 4 stages of consciousness. The first one is victim consciousness, then there's manifestation consciousness, and then there's channeler consciousness and being consciousness. And the first stage of this is the victim consciousness. And victim consciousness is that energy where we feel like things are being done to us instead of for us. And so the way that this typically manifests in someone's life is that they have that blame game thing going on, or they can't let something go. That is huge. Like, the problem's already been solved and they're still talking about it and complaining about it, and they can't let it go. And it still comes up even if a problem is solved. Or people who hold grudges and resentments. Like, the thing that I love about this is that you are the only person suffering by holding that grudge or resentment. It's like the squeaky wheel. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. If you're being a squeaky wheel, you're blaming other people for things, and you are holding on to things that aren't serving you because of whatever is going on in your emotional state, guess what? You're going to get more of that. More misfortune, more bad energy, more disappointing times, because the energy that you put behind things is what expresses out everywhere. It's not just in your immediate life. So a couple of questions to ask yourself. What are you holding on to or blaming others for? How are you not taking responsibility for your outcomes or results? Are you living in the past or are you living in the now? And when something is solved, are you moving on? Or are you digging it up again and again and being resentful for whatever that is? So, I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can talk about this, but if you're acting like a victim, you are the only person who suffers. So if there's a willfulness, there is a wall. How instead can you step into a willingness and ask to be shown the way by operating from a place of abundance instead of a place of lack? This leads me to something that literally blew my mind. I can't remember where I heard this, but someone said, I was listening to a course. I've taken a couple of courses this year. And someone said, be the customer that you want to have. Be the customer that you want to have. So if you're someone who is complaining and raising a big fight and being a difficult customer and having a, tantrum in someone's customer service desk and being hard, and not being an advocate for your own things, then take a look at that and take a look at the kind of customers that you're attracting. It was really interesting for me. So I have a funny story. And there is a time to be assertive and to ask for what you need or want. I'm not saying that, but there's a way to do it that's kind. So there was this time during the pandemic, I had this hairdryer from a very expensive blowout place, which I won't mention. And I bought it during the pandemic because I could only find one online because Jason didn't have a good hairdryer at his house. It was like over $200. Within a week, the thing broke and everything's closed, right? There's no place to go shop or even return this thing. So I call their customer service line and they're like, ma'am, you can just, and I was outsourced to the Philippines or something like that. Ma'am, you can just go and return it at a store. I'm like, and exchange it. I was like, there's no stores open to exchange it at. How am I supposed to do that? And so I turned on bitch mode and I ended up getting what I wanted. They're like, okay, we'll send you a new one if you cut the cord and send us a picture. And they're onshore US-based customer service person actually called me back instead of who could actually deal with the problem instead of being sent to the person in the Philippines. Anyway, Jason always tells a story about that. There is a time and a place for you to assert your heels if you're not getting the solution's not being solved. But first, start with kindness. I will tell you, because we field a lot of customer service issues over time, a lot of times when something is wrong, it's not necessarily that it's your fault, but the customer wants to be seen and heard. So the more that you can see and hear what they have to say, the better it is on the other end. But if you notice that when you are consuming someone else's thing or being a customer of someone else's brand or business, and you're showing up as a Karen, how is that coming back to you in your business? If you're not getting ideal customers shopping from you, if you're getting people who are price sensitive, if you're getting people who, want to return broken stuff and send it back, whatever it is. That was a really amazing mirror for me. Like, be the customer that you want to have. So great lesson. We'll definitely be bringing that forth in the new year. Lesson number 6. People pleasing is a recipe for being out of alignment with who you are. Where are you being a people pleaser? Now, I'm going to share something. And part of the evolution of what we're doing with Flourish and Thrive Academy was me people pleasing for everyone else instead of getting into alignment with what I wanted to do. I've been feeling a strong call to want to move in and launch my own group coaching program that is outside of the jewelry industry for about 5 years. And I'm going to be launching a brand new program called The Art of Reinvention. It's going to take all of my rebranding skills and everything that I know and do and have been embodying for the last 12 years with the Desire Brand Effect and turn that into a program for women who are on the cusp of a reinvention. They're either have a business and then they want to reinvent and start another business, or they are someone who's been working in corporate and want to reinvent and launch some other business using their skill set. And the common denominator about these women that I want to serve is that they are already doing well and they're kind of in a position of golden handcuffs. So it's like, why change if it's already good? And so this reminds me, a couple years ago, I was like wanting to make a pivot, and I don't want anyone to worry. Flourish and Thrive Academy is not going away. It's just I needed to pivot the way that we're delivering things so that it made it more sustainable for me, so that I can go on and do the things that I want to do and actually get the company working in a place where I can come in and just be a coach or be support or be doing the marketing, the face of the company, instead of having to work in the business so much. So I had a couple of years ago, I had a conversation with my accountant and Jason, and they're like, Tracy, why do you want to start a new business? This business is already doing really well. Like, why would you want to start something new? It's really hard to start a business. Don't do it. And they talked me out of it. And it's not their fault. Like, I'm the one who decided to do it. They talked me out of starting my new thing. And I was like, okay, well, maybe they're right. But what happened is because I was people pleasing and trying to make everyone else happy, because my coaches wanted things to be a certain way, my students wanted things to be a certain way, my team wanted things to be a certain way, I got out of alignment. And guess what happened to the company? It got really chaotic for a while inside. Things became stressful. We had to make some really tough changes and restructure the team and dial a lot of things back so that we could actually serve people better. And it wasn't the way that I wanted it to happen, but it's the only way that we could figure out how to do it in a way that allowed us to keep the goodness of what we're doing over here at Flourish and Thrive, while also me being able to spread my wings and follow where my heart is going. And so more about that. But if you're interested in hearing a little bit more about the art of reinvention, definitely check out the link in the show notes. There's an application there, and we'll be having an offer page up pretty soon. For that, I've already started enrolling people in early bird enrollment. And if you're interested in joining it, the program is going to be starting in March. It's going to be a live coaching program where you work with me. Content's delivered live, everything's recorded, all the things. But it's helping you go through a process of tapping into where your true genius is and developing an offer around that. And I'm so excited about it. It's going to be really fun. Anyway, so people pleasing is a recipe for being out of alignment. Number 7. This is a lesson I actually learned over a year ago, but I'm going to bring it forward for this year. The magic you seek is in the work you're avoiding, or the things you're avoiding, or anything that you're avoiding. So my question to you is, what are you avoiding? Because that's the first thing that you need to look at. Is it a conversation with your partner? Is it cleaning off your desk? That's something that have been avoiding. Is it opening the letters or the mail? Is it the cluttered room that's in the back office that's full of Amazon boxes? So someone who explained this the best to me was Patrice Washington. I've heard her speak a couple times over the last couple years, and she talks about the 6 pillars of wealth, and one of them is your environment. And she's like, I was really having a hard time like calling in, like getting to the next level of my abundance. And I had to go look at that room in my house where I had all the Amazon boxes and everything was cluttered. We just like threw everything in there and closed the door. So what is that for you? And until you get that clutter cleaned up, you're going to be blocking yourself off from that future stage of abundance. So the magic you seek is in the work you're avoiding. That one can be used for so many things. I want to thank my friend Spencer for bringing it into my awareness for probably the second time. I feel like I had seen someone say it like a couple days before. And then I kept seeing that saying over and over again. I don't know where it originally comes from, but it's such a great one. Simplifying and streamlining and optimizing your business for boring money for the win. Now, this is another one that goes to my friend Julie Solomon. Take the time to figure out where you can make boring money in your business. Now, in a business, a coaching business or something like that, education company, for us, it's going to be a sales funnel. Same thing with many of you. It's like in your email automations, how can you set those things up so that they're making money without you having to think about it? Where can you make boring money in your business? More is not better. Optimizing sales funnels, process orientation, like all those things to set your business up for more efficiency is the way to go. So step back a little bit so that you can move forward. This is a great opportunity for you to create some boring money opportunities in your business. Lesson number 9, create for creation's sake and because you want to do it. Reinvention season is here. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. A lot of people out there are doing things because they think that they should do it a certain way, but they are feeling called to create in a different way. So if you're doing something out of obligation or doing something just to make money, I mean, obviously I'm teaching you how to run a business. You got to do some things to make money. But creating for the creation's sake and putting the thing out there that your soul is calling you to do is so important. I'm going to give you an example of what this looks like. I'm launching several new programs in the new year under my personal brand. And I'm terrified. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm terrified. I feel really comfortable marketing to jewelry business owners. I don't feel very comfortable marketing to entrepreneurs or business owners. It's just, I feel there's something about it. It's just a different market for me. So it's like starting over. I'm becoming a beginner. And I was sitting down with my CMO, Megan, and she was saying to me, like, what are we going to do for the rest of the year? We're talking about things. And I was like, I really want to launch this program. We're actually 2 programs, but it's actually 4 programs. And this is what I'm thinking. And she's like, well, tell me more about it. And I said, I've been really wanting to launch a business planning program for creatives for a long time, taking all of my favorite things about visioning, which is literally my gift, teaching you how to create a bigger vision, evaluation, making business planning super simple, breaking that down into quarterly goals, which is something we've done in our momentum program for a long time, but then moving that into execution. And some of this, parts of it have been taught in different things that we've delivered out there, but it's never been packaged this way before. And it's really methodical process that we created or that I created, not we, I should say that I packaged together. And I'm so excited about it. And when she was asking me about it, and I said, it's just something I feel really called to do. And she's like, well, then you need to do it. And I didn't know if it was going to sell. I didn't know if people were going to buy it. We did a pre-sale and it did okay in the pre-sale. We sold a bunch of people bought it. Then we did the masterclass for it, the first one, and it had a 50% show up rate. I was so proud of this in the live masterclass. And we had a really high conversion rate on that class. And I'm only sharing that is because when there is passion behind something that you're doing and you're feeling called to create something because you love it so much, people are going to resonate and land with that. The energy of yes is behind that. The energy of like, heck yes, this is an amazing thing is right behind that. So I want to mention that to you because if there's something that's calling for you on your heart that you want to do, then do it. And I was talking with my healer this morning and I was sharing with her like how I feel so scared to put the art of reinvention out there and then I'm worried no one's going to resonate and land with it. I know that people are going to resonate and land with it because so many people are in this season of reinvention. But it is definitely something different. It's a higher ticket program. It is speaking to a very specific type of audience, someone who has already had a business and wants to like basically reinvent their brand and evolve their brand into something different than what they've been talking about for years. And it's scary for me because it's new and I've been doing it for myself and it's exciting and I know how to do it and I'm an expert at it, but also something that feels vulnerable. But in what Anne, my healer, was saying to me is, Tracy, no matter what you do, as long as it's coming from your heart, it's going to land. And this program is going to totally crush it. People are going to be really excited to join it because the messaging and the timing is perfect. And so I'm hoping that that's really the case and true. And I believe it to be true, but also it feels so vulnerable because it is very personal. And so I just want to say, when you're putting yourself out there, I feel you if you feel like you are vulnerable in putting these things out and together. So create for creation's sake and because you want to, because reinvention season is here, it is important to follow your heart. And then my final lesson for today is don't take everything so personally. Now, this is not a new lesson. I think it's something that everyone needs to understand. And it is part of the 4 Agreements. If you haven't picked up that book yet, definitely pick it up. A lot of times we take things personally when it has nothing to do with you. Someone not calling you back, someone not answering a text, not getting invited somewhere, someone spacing on something, someone, something falling through the cracks, a customer service thing not getting answered in the way that you expected it to. Something happened recently where I was trying to get to the bottom of something, and it really was from a place of curiosity. And because of the way I was asking questions, someone on my team got really offended and they lit me up. And I'm like, can we get on the phone? Because I think that you've taken this the wrong way. Like, my intention was not to ruffle any feathers. I just literally was trying to figure out what had happened. We were trying to solve an issue and Chelsea was on vacation and we didn't have the answer. Long story short, I'm honestly, the intention wasn't there. And so sometimes the lesson that I learned in this, and again, over and over again, is sometimes we take things personally that aren't personal at all. It has nothing to do with you usually. And so I could detach enough to know that this person on my team who was upset about my line of questioning, to know that she's stressed out. There's a lot going on. It's right before the holidays and all the things. I could, know that personally and not go into my own trigger around it, feeling like I hurt her feelings. I did want to clear it up, but also I'm strong enough in my grounding to know, okay, well, I can offer an apology for saying something in a way that didn't land the right way. But I also know that my intention was there. So I'm not going to beat myself up for saying what I did. What I did learn from this observation, though, is that maybe there's a different way to say something that will land better. And remember that when we're triggered by other people, really a lot of times there's not malicious intent there. It's triggering something within us that needs to heal. And so don't take everything so personally, but take a look at it. And the meaning that you're giving things is not really the real story. And so if you haven't done, inside the Your Year to Thrive program, there's a whole module called Open to Growth. And it's all about some of my favorite manifestation practices, but also limiting belief cures. And one of the practices that I share in there is a method that I learned from Tony Robbins that I think is super helpful about understanding how when you take things personally or you have a mindset about something that is you're holding on to or harboring resentment for, or a limiting belief that you have, that the true story is not the real story. And if you can basically crush the evidence of anything and and prove to yourself or show yourself that that's not really the truth of the situation, it will change the energy around it forever. So don't take everything so personally. Do your healing and all the things. So let me walk through my lessons really quickly. Number 1, pay attention to the hummingbird moments. Number 2, don't skip your mindfulness routine. Number 3, take a look at your relationship to receiving compliments. Number 4, where there is a willfulness, there is a wall. Where there's a willingness, there is a way. Number 5, be the customer you want to have. Number 6, people pleasing is a recipe for being out of alignment. Number 7, the magic you seek is in the work you're avoiding. Number 8, simplify and streamline for the win. Boring money, people, is your friend. Number 9, create for creation's sake and because you want to do it. Number 10, don't take everything so personally. All right, you guys, thanks so much for listening to the episode. This is Tracy signing off. Until next time. If you're loving these strategies for business growth, I want to invite you to something special. Your Year to Thrive is your complete blueprint for turning inspiration into real-world transformation in 2025. This isn't just another business planning program. We start with your vision of an ideal life and build your success around what truly matters to you. No more scattered ideas or overwhelming to-do lists. Inside, you'll discover the proven Evolve Blueprint, my step-by-step system to turning your biggest dreams into inevitable success. From a clear vision to confident execution, you'll finally have the roadmap you've been looking for. Your Year to Thrive is open for enrollment right now. Join us and make 2025 the year everything changes. Head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/thrive to learn more and secure your spot. Let's truly make this your year to thrive. We got you.